Just to begin with then, how did you come on board this project? Because obviously you worked with Lena before.
Yeah.
Was it at script stage or?
It was at, it was at script stage in the usual way. Originally she said, would I come and play a waiter? I had a couple of scenes. I thought I was just going in to, to help out. And then the part got slightly larger. And but whatever, I was keen to be in it because I admired the script so much, and because it's Lona, and I love to work with Lona, and the cast was it's a fabulous cast. I was very pleased. I'd worked with Andrea Riseborough before. I knew Zoe, but I'd never worked with her. And substantially, I act with Tahar, Rahim, and Caleb Landry-Jones, and both of whom were extremely good value.
And obviously you worked on Their Finest as well. What is it about Lena's approach as a director that you so admire?
She's a democrat in the real sense of the word. Everyone is treated with respect. She laughs a lot. She looks for things to be funny. She has great humanity. She is smarter than I am. She's very, very observant. She misses nothing. You feel safe, and you feel that you're in the presence of somebody who's kind of serious, although not grim, but and that you're involved in something, that might just work. It's difficult for me to express, but I'm very, very happy working with her. I get a very, very good feeling.
And you mentioned the cast. It is a fantastic cast, but it's also, French, British, American. It's a wonderful cast drawn from all around the world. How does working in an ensemble cast change the dynamic of a production?
I don't know really. I don't really experience it like that. I just do my bits. When you're required, you just do what's in front of you. I'm not very good at overview. I don't really, I have specific things I have to really focus on, and I tend to do that. And I never know quite how the whole thing will be structured, finally. That's as much as I can say, really.
And obviously, Russian accent.
Oh, yeah.
How do you prepare for different accents?
I've had to do lots of accents, and I do the same thing, which is you need you need the exact words that you're going to be speaking said in the accent that you're going to speak them in. So you need to find somebody. And I've done all kinds. I did an Australian accent, and they said I said, "Where are all the Australians in London?" They said the Chelsea Arts Club. So I went to the Chelsea Arts Club and bought everybody a pint, and put the tape recorder on the bar, and then with my lines underlined. And I have some heartbreaking tapes of guys who are very loud in the bar, and then as soon as you say, "Can you speak into there?" They're like, "What you mean in there?" You're like, "Yeah," and they've got these, it's very moving. And when I had to do Welsh, I went to Wales and went in pubs in Wales and said, "Will you come and sit in my car in the car park and speak into my iPhone?" They were like, "All right, yeah, maybe." And I have some very, very funny tapes.
Do you keep them?
Yeah. I have a whole. My iPhone is full of audio memos of different people speaking different accents, and including me speaking different accents, because I fool around at night watching TV. If you get an idea in here, you just, now you've got an iPhone. It's just like, you can just you can record whatever, because you think it might come in handy later on.
And sort of, has your approach to researching roles changed over the years? Because you've been acting a good while now. I don't really. The only thing that's changed is that I don't have to pretend I did any research anymore. Because people ask me, how much research have you done? The answer is probably none whatsoever. I work at a level of writing where any of the information you need is in the script. Reading around the subject, which is a famous piece of displacement activity that writers use in order not to have to write, to avoid the moment when you might have to make any decisions. It's the same.
largely with research. I mean, for some people it helps, I'm sure, but it's never really. I mean, in the old days, that if you were playing a photographer, they'd send you to a photographer's studio to observe. Really, you'd get very little out of it, apart from you're never going to learn how to photograph anybody. I mean, you haven't got the time allowed is no. It's like when I was a hairdresser once. I learnt to wobble the hairdryer. That was about the only thing I learned. You're never going to learn to be a hairdresser, and I didn't observe anything. You might think they've got a pair of trousers that look quite good, and maybe we'll try and get a pair of trousers like that or something. I mean, if there were specific things like you have to, you've got a physical disability or you've got a vocal impediment or something, you would research it, but or not research it. You'd just go and find somebody who had that and copy it. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I don't need backstory and things of that kind. There's a very famous story of Alan Ayckbourn being in a Harold Pinter play, and he went to he went to Harold Pinter. He was young enough to go to Harold Pinter and say, "My character, can you tell me something about where my character comes from, where he went to school, and how he might have grown up?" And Harold famously said, "Mind your own fucking business," which is a very favourite story of mine.
And you work in lots of, across the years you worked in different mediums, whether it's radio, TV, film, Does your approach change, or is it just in the material?
It's just in the material. I mean, people tend to, it's like, people tend to make things sort of mysterious sometimes. They'll say, how's your, in terms of radio, they'll say, when I was young, people would say, how's your microphone technique? And you go, well, obviously I haven't got any microphone technique. What do you mean microphone technique? It turns out if you're going to shout, lean back a bit, and if you're going to whisper, lean forward. It's like when you're playing a small theatre, people say, well, it's really, the audience are right there and it's scary. It's fine, you get used to it after about, 2 shows. And if they're a bit further away, you raise your voice a bit. You know what I mean? Obviously, it changes the way you act, but it's not like a huge problem. You know what I mean? It's just a technical matter which any human being would take care of it. It's like when they bring the camera there, you don't start acting, in a grand way, mm-hmm. because the camera's there. Whereas if they take it away, you might have to. It's not rocket science, really. And I really leave that to the director or anybody else. And if they want to say take it down, they'll take it down. Or if they want to say take it up, take it up. Mostly they say take it down, which I'm always quite gratified for, because it took me a long time to take it up.
And just finally, obviously one of the themes of the film is just sort of the milk of human kindness. Has there been moments in your life that you particularly remember that you feel you've experienced that sort of
yeah. I mean, like a lot of, I'm very fortunate, and like a lot of people, my life has been entirely peppered with instances of people being kind to me. I mean, I've been very fortunate in that respect, and that's the experience of most people I know. That's what generally happens with human beings. We are persuaded to emphasize the other things that happen sometimes in films and things. This is not one of those. And politicians famously try and divide us in order to get us to vote for them bogusly. But what people do, they generally rub along pretty well, and that's my experience. There are lots of examples, but I won't go into any particular ones now.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure.